Welcome to Intuitive Transformations with your host, Sylvia Henderson, and discover tools, wisdom, and inspiration that will empower you to transform your life. Sylvia is an intuitive life coach and energy healer with a growing practice that is focused on empowering others to be more of who they want to be. For the next hour, join Sylvia and explore and unravel anything in the way of you creating the life that you would love to live on the OMTimes radio network.
Welcome to the Intuitive Transformations radio show, where you will find tools you can use to transform your life. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host, and as you know, you can find me here on OMTimes Radio, the voice of consciousness, every Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time, connecting, sharing, and inspiring you to expand into more of who you are so that you can step boldly into more of what you love and desire in your life. If you're new to my show, I am an intuitive life coach and I help people change their lives from the inside out. If you are feeling bogged down by the circumstances of your life and you would like your life to get just a little bit easier or maybe a whole lot easier, you might want to contact me for a private session. For more information on what I do and how I can help, please visit my website at intuitivetransformations.net. That's intuitivetransformations.net. You might just experience the change that you have been looking for. I want to thank everyone for joining me here this evening. You will definitely be happy that you are here. I think this is a show that you will want to listen to over and over again because there will be some very valuable and practical information shared tonight that you are going to be able to put into use in your daily lives, hopefully right away. Everyone knows that social media is here to stay, right? It's not going anywhere. Social media has become how millions and millions of people are communicating, connecting, and creating real community in today's world. And for those of you who have been puzzled about the value and inner workings of social media, especially when it comes to Twitter, including how to use Twitter for your personal and professional life, you are in for a real treat today. Joining me this evening on the show is Mr. John Sparks, who is the author of 365 Ideas to Go from Good to Great on Twitter. John is taking a break from his book tour just to be with us tonight to share his wealth of information about social media and provide us with some insights on why social media is so important in today's world. And in particular, why Twitter has become much more than a celebrity connection, but has also become a tool that can be used to create commerce, build a business, create positive social change, and even enhance your social life experiences by creating relationships. So let me tell you just a little bit more about John Sparks, or rather as he is known on Twitter at I am John Sparks. As I've mentioned, John is the author of the exciting new book, 365 Ideas to Go from Good to Great on Twitter. And he is the founder and CEO of Online Image Works. And that's where John helps people make sense of social media. So he's actually a social media coach. John has earned the distinction of becoming known as the go-to man for Twitter and has received numerous high praises and was recently named one of the top social media power influencers of 2015 by statsocial.com. He's also been named one of the top social media marketing experts and influencers to follow by Drum Up. Without buying one single Twitter follower, and this is why John's so remarkable, without buying one single Twitter follower, John managed to grow his Twitter account from less than 800 to 200,000 followers within just 2 years. That's pretty incredible. John has an extensive media background, and he is a veteran newscast producer. He has worked at 7 different television stations located in 3 different states, in Florida, Texas, and Oklahoma. John currently lives in Dallas, Texas, and he is an adjunct professor teaching online journalism in the Mayborn School of Journalism at the University of North Texas. And in addition to all of that, I think that John is absolutely a delightful person, and I know that you will feel the same as I do. So with that said, John, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sylvia. It's a pleasure to be here.
I am so thrilled to have you here because I have a ton of questions about Twitter, and I know everyone listening would love to hear what you have to say. So, John, you've got this really fantastic and very useful new book that you've written that's titled 365 Ideas from Good to Great on Twitter, which outlines some very practical strategies that people can use to enhance their experience on Twitter. And the book is written for people whether they're a newbie or not. Is that correct?
Correct.
Perfect. And you also share in your book some of your own personal secrets that you used to help grow your Twitter account to over 200,000 followers in just 2 years. Is that correct?
Correct.
So it's an awesome book, ladies and gentlemen. You have to get it. So what is your general take on social media, John?
I love it. Sylvia. It's a great place to build relationships and get to know other individuals. And Twitter's a wonderful place because it allows you to talk to individuals that you might not be able to talk to otherwise on some of the other social media platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn. The relationship on Twitter, you don't necessarily have to follow somebody or have them follow you back to send them a tweet. And you can communicate with other people, whereas in Facebook or LinkedIn, you have to have a reciprocal relationship. You have to friend them, and they have to accept the friend request or connect with them on LinkedIn. But Twitter, you really don't have to do that to send someone tweets and earn visibility and talk to other people.
Now, that's interesting insight that I did not know. As a matter of fact, my next question was going to be, why has Twitter become your primary focus? And I think you very eloquently have answered that question. So this whole engaging with each other on Twitter, you have, 140 characters that you get to use? Is that correct?
You have 140 characters. That's correct.
So how, fluid of a conversation can you have with someone with 140 characters?
You'd be surprised. Actually, I use a lot less characters than that. I try to dumb down my tweets to 120 characters or less because tweets with 120 characters actually get more engagement. The less characters that you use in a tweet, the more chances or the more likely it is for someone to retweet you or engage or favorite your tweets.
Okay, I love that you're using this language about favoriting your tweets and tweet in of itself, because there are probably some individuals that are listening to this show that, they're listening because they really need a Twitter 101 and need to understand some of the basic language and functions that are commonly used on Twitter. For instance, I'm assuming most people listening know that a tweet is a message that someone sends out via Twitter, which is limited to 140 characters, but you said you can even use less than that and be very effective at that. What can you explain other things like favoriting something or why is it important to retweet? Just kind of what are some of the basics around Twitter for people who are new to the lingo?
Sure. Well, a favorite is when you click on the small star icon in a tweet and you turn it to gold to favorite it. And you show basically that you like the tweet. So this lets a user know that you've marked their tweet as a favorite. And favorited tweets are also saved to a list that you can go back to later. So that's what a favorite is.
And what is the advantage? Who is it more advantageous to? The person who does the favoriting, or does the person whose tweet was favorited get any perks from that? What's the benefit other than the list?
Well, again, everything comes back to building relationships, and people like to reach out to people who reach out. And so when you favorite a tweet, it sends good vibes to the other user whose tweet you're favoriting and lets them know that you like it. And then it also adds it to the list so other people can scroll through your favorite tweets and see other tweets that are your favorites. It's also a way of marking them so you can find them quicker if you need to go back to them at a later time.
Perfect. That explains that very well. So what about retweeting?
Well, retweeting is when you repost another user's tweet on your Twitter timeline and share it with all of your followers. So if you send something out and I happen to see your tweet and it's something that I like and want to send out to all my followers, then I'll retweet it or repost it so that it shows up on my Twitter timeline and I am able to share it with all of my followers as well.
Okay. And so when people share on it's called a Twitter feed, is that correct?
Your Twitter feed.
Your Twitter feed. Okay. So when people, they send out a tweet or they retweet something, it goes to all of their followers automatically, or do the followers have to do something to see that?
Well, whenever I retweet something that someone else sends out, it goes to everyone that's following me.
Okay.
And so they will see it on their home feed of all the tweets of the people that they're following.
Okay. All right. So there's a home feed and a Twitter feed. Perfect.
Well,
so we're going to go into a break for just a few moments. And so, John, we're going to continue that conversation then. So everyone, please stay tuned. There is so much more to follow. We've just begun a great conversation with John Sparks, and we're talking about social media and Twitter. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Imagine receiving healing, vibration-raising energy as you listen to the radio, energy that flows effortlessly to you. Imagine exploring all things metaphysical, sharing in an ongoing adventure. Join me, Karen Smoot, along with my co-hosts Lisa Victorson and Wendy Weber for Immersion into Source every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Home Radio.
If you remember living fearlessly, joyfully, and in a world filled with adventure, happiness, pleasure, and unbridled living, then this show is for you. Join me, Dame Nicole Brandon, as I bring you the world's top experts in wealth, creativity, flow, sea-edging technology, space, wellness, health, love, lust, and passion, all merging together each week here at the Hub of Happiness. Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Passionate Living, where you can ride on the magic carpet ride of living and learn how to lead a passionately wild, exciting, and outrageously amazing life.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back. You are listening to Intuitive Transformations on OMTimes Radio. This is Sylvia Henderson, your host, and I have joining me here today John Sparks, and we are talking about social media and Twitter and his brand new book that just released. And before we went to the break, we were talking about some of the basics of Twitter, for instance, what a tweet is, and Twitter feed, and sorry, my tongue gets twisted around all of these T's, and a home feed, and what it means when you favorite someone's tweet, and also when you retweet someone's tweet. I do have another question for you, John, but I think were you about to say something before we went right into the break, or should I go with my question?
Well, I was going to just say that you have a home feed, so that's where you can see all the tweets of people that you follow. And then you have a Twitter profile page. And then that's where you can see all of a person's tweets that they have sent out. So those are the two pages that we're referring to.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you for that clarification. So let's talk about the hashtag. What is the purpose of the hashtag? When should you use it and when should you not use it? Or should you use it?
Hashtags are extremely powerful, and I say absolutely you should use them. A hashtag symbol is used before a relevant keyword, pretty much, or phrase in a tweet. And hashtags basically categorize those tweets and help them show more easily in Twitter search. It's a group of conversations of a lot of different people that are all talking about the same thing, centered around that hashtag. They get grouped into categories. So you can search on Twitter by hashtags, and you can see anyone that has mentioned a hashtag, those tweets show up when you do a search for that hashtag.
And so this would then allow the user to engage in that conversation because it's more specific, correct?
Correct.
Great. So let's talk a little bit about your book. In your book, you cover everything from how to get started on Twitter to scheduling tweets and analytics, as well as offer some sample daily Twitter routines. And as an outsider looking in, it seems like it takes a little bit of work to maintain an active Twitter account. Is that true?
It's some work when you're starting out, but as you get going, Sylvia, it starts to click and it takes less and less time. I mean, I will tell you that I spend probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours a day managing my account total. When I started out, though, I may have spent a little bit more time, maybe 3 to 4 hours a day, but it was still not much. At least I don't consider it much.
So do you use Twitter exclusively, or do you not use LinkedIn? Do you not use Facebook?
I use all of them.
Okay. So when you're saying you're dedicating about 2 hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, that specifically relates to Twitter or to the other social media accounts you have?
I would say it pretty much is split through all the social media networks. So I open up different tabs and I cross things that I'm sending out on Twitter to Facebook, but I use Twitter as my hub. So everything would come back to what I was doing on Twitter. Okay,
gotcha. So in the beginning of your book, you talk about the importance of branding early on. Why is that so important? Can't you just have your name and, start engaging with people? What is the branding component about?
Well, the branding has to do with letting people know who you are and creating value online so that when people follow you, they know what they're going to get when they decide to turn the white button to blue on Twitter.
Okay, so for people who don't know what the white button to blue means, what does that mean?
Well, that's the follow button. So it's white, and when you follow someone, you turn it from white to blue.
And so what exactly do you mean, John, about creating value? What does that look like on Twitter? Do you have some examples of what that would look like?
Sure. So my brand has been positive and uplifting. And so in my bio, I say my tweets are positive and uplifting. Before my book came out, there was a section on my bio that said my tweets are positive and uplifting, letting people know that when they follow me, that's the kind of content that they're going to see when they follow me. So people like to know in advance who you are and what it is they're going to get when they look at your tweets. And so by putting that in your bio, and I believe you have about 150 characters in your bio, 150 characters real estate in your bio to play around with, but to have some sort of a mantra or some sort of value add in that bio to let people know when they're following you what they're going to get.
So branding is not so much about having a splashy page on Twitter. It's just really the kind of the character of who you are and what you want to present.
Correct, because people like to follow people that they know, like, and trust. And so it's creating that feeling through all the different pieces of everything from your bio to your tweets to your profile picture to your Twitter header image at the top of your profile, so that people that are looking at your page have that feeling.
Gotcha. So what about Twitter etiquette? Can you talk a little bit about that? And is there such a thing?
Sure, absolutely. So I think it's a good idea to do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
I agree.
I apply a lot of biblical principles to my Twitter account. And so, when people reach out to me and retweet me or favorite me, I thank them for that. I thank people that favorite my tweets and send out tweets without me asking them to do so. People want to feel welcome, special, and appreciated. People that ask me questions, I respond to it. There's so much of that going on where people are sending tweets and no one bothers to respond. People want to feel like they're welcome, special, and appreciated. And there's not a better way to do that than to reply, and to reply quickly and early when people mention you in a tweet, and try and engage with you, that you engage them back and you treat them how they would want to be treated when you do so.
Okay, so just for clarification then, if someone sends out a tweet and your name is in that, that is them reaching out and saying, hey, I just want to say hi to you. Is that what you're saying?
Sure. And so that shows up in your notifications, which is a different feed than your home feed and your Twitter profile. And so you can look at your notifications and you can see everyone that has mentioned your Twitter handle, which mine is at @IamJohnSparks, at @IamJohnSparks. So anyone that puts at @IamJohnSparks in a tweet, that will show up in my notifications. And when I receive those tweets, then I respond to them. And not only do I make a statement, I ask them a question to try and engage back with them, because Twitter is about conversations and continuing conversations with individuals. And if I were just to comment on the tweet, then it's not really asking them anything to get them to respond back. And the goal is to engage with them, to increase or to expand on that relationship, and then perhaps maybe take it from online to offline. It's a stepping stones to building an offline relationship with someone, if you will.
I see. So if I were to send out a tweet after this show and say, I had a fantastic time with John Sparks on my show.
Which you're going to do, right?
Absolutely.
Good. I just wanted to make sure.
Without a doubt. So you're going to respond to me?
I am going to respond to you.
Awesome. I love that.
And I'm going to ask you a question as well, and you better answer it.
I will, John, because you're teaching me good skills right now. I appreciate it.
Because see, what happens, Sylvia, is other people are seeing that conversation taking place, and so it increases your visibility as well as my visibility to be having that conversation. And then when you can squeeze some hashtags in there as well. Now, you don't want to force hashtags, meaning that you don't want to put hashtags in there that are not relevant just because those hashtags might be trending. But if you can think of hashtags to add in there that might enhance the conversation and go along with what we're talking about, then that's going to also help increase the visibility. And a lot of people are going to be looking at the conversation, and that's a good thing. We like that. I
love that idea.
Absolutely.
So, one more question about this, having your name mentioned, because I am relatively new, I'll be honest, to Twitter. I've only been on for several months. So when someone sends out a tweet and it has a bunch of Twitter names in there, and yours is one that's included, what's the protocol for that exactly?
Well, the protocol is to be careful when you're sending out those types of tweets, first of all, because you don't want to put so many names in one of those tweets that when people retweet it or they're trying to add something to that tweet, that they end up having to take out one of those names, because you kind of look at it like it's a party and you're inviting all these individuals to a party. And when you take out somebody's name, then that hurts their feelings.
Gotcha. Okay, John, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, I have another question about the group name tweets to follow up what you just said. Everyone, please stay tuned. I'm talking to John Sparks. You're listening to Sylvia Henderson on Intuitive Transformations. We will be back in just a few moments. Please stay tuned.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the Internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know, I've tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Live with medium Lisa Phoenix, Mediumship Messages and Musings, explores mediumship and all things metaphysical. Lisa Phoenix invites you to reach above and beyond your everyday experiences to explore new dimensions in the spirit world. She will do live readings to connect callers to their loved ones in spirit, shares engaging stories and teachings from her own personal experience, and will have intriguing conversations with other mediums, spiritual teachers, and healers to help you understand the metaphysical world so you can connect to these forces in your day-to-day life. Join your host on this magical and metaphysical journey into the world of spirit every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle. A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Hello and welcome back. This is Sylvia on Intuitive Transformations, and I'm here with my very special guest, John Sparks, and we are talking about social media, and in particular, we're talking about Twitter and kind of the ins and outs, the nuts and bolts, and the basics of it. And before we went into a break, John was just sharing some insight about how it's important to be really careful when you have a group of names in filling your tweet, because when you want to have somebody respond, they may end up having to drop a name because of the number of characters you're allotted. Is that correct, John?
Correct.
So when you do see something like that pop up in your news feed and you see, hey, there's my name in there and this mix of other names, what is the next best thing that should be done?
Well, I normally retweet those tweets. And then I also send a reply to those tweets. And I try to mention the word all with capital letters ALL in those tweets to kind of let everyone know that's mentioned in those tweets that I'm kind of talking to everyone that is included in that tweet, so no one feels left out. And if there's too many people being mentioned and there's not enough room to really write a comment, sometimes I'll just put my Twitter signature in there, which is a double smiley face, to let them know that I am responding.
Gotcha. Love that. And so what about things like spammers or security issues with Twitter? Are there any concerns about that users should consider when they're using their Twitter accounts?
Well, spammers are out there, and there's a number of third-party tools that are discussed in my book that will help you go through the people that are following you and flush the spammers, or the fake followers, as we call them, from your feed so that they're not following you any longer. So there are some tools that we do talk about or are mentioned in the book that will address spammers and fake followers.
So for somebody who's just starting out and, they get your book, so is it suggested that right away you start using these tools and strategies in terms of protecting yourself from spammers? And then what's the risk with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you do want to start using a lot of the third-party tools when you start out on Twitter. It helps you build your following because people look to see who are following you, the types of people that are following you. And so it does help to use a lot of those third-party tools.
So somebody's starting out on Twitter and they've got a business and they want to use Twitter as a marketing tool. What would you suggest as some first step basics that they should employ?
Great question. I would say, Sylvia, that they want to concentrate primarily on their personal brand. Their personal brand is an extension of their business brand. A lot of people, when they see businesses on Twitter, they're kind of hesitant about following those businesses. And the reason why is because they feel like they might be sold to if they follow them. Mm-hmm. So my suggestion to those individuals that are interested in kind of growing their business is to concentrate on their personal side first, building relationships. And then once they have followed you on their personal accounts, then convert them over to their business profiles or their business accounts by using one of the other third-party tools that are out there that will allow you to go in and see the people that are following your personal account and will allow you to follow those individuals and bring them over to your business account for you.
And do you outline that in your book, kind of like a step-by-step process?
Yes.
Beautiful. So what about those individuals that would like to champion a personal cause or something. I think about here in Seattle. I don't know if it's made the news where you are. I'm in the Seattle, Washington area. Everybody who's listening, if you didn't know, and
Hey, Seattle.
yeah, and John is over in Dallas, Texas. And so lately in Seattle, we've had this thing where sorry, Dallas, or sorry, Texas, but there's been some protest about some shell drilling rigs out there, and we've had hundreds and hundreds of people out there in kayaks and stuff to protest. And so a social cause like that, is that something that people could use Twitter to kind of rally the troops if that's something they wanted to support?
You could, absolutely. I kind of look at that type of thing the same way you might look at a business as well. So having the personal account and keeping your personal account personal, and then if you're interested in setting up a business type account for that cause, you could do so as well and bring people from your personal account to that cause, if you will.
Gotcha. So I want to talk a little bit more about how to build relationships on Twitter. You also say something in the beginning of your book about the importance of not using the word I, and really trying to make your tweets about someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So why is that so important to try to eliminate using the word I when you're sending out a tweet?
Well, do people really want to hear people talk about themselves? It's not about me. I have turned Twitter into being about all of the people that are following me, and I want them again to feel like they feel like they're welcome, special, and appreciated. Once they follow me, I want those users to feel like they're valued, and they are. And so when you use the word I and you say I, and all your tweets are about you, it's almost like you're spamming these individuals and you're sending so much stuff out about you. And I guess what you should do is make it about them instead.
I see. Well, that makes sense in any conversation, really, right?
Right.
It makes it less of a narcissist kind of event.
Absolutely.
So in your book, you talk about designing your tweets. What do you mean by that? I mean, don't you just write what you want to say? What is this designing concept about?
So really crafting your tweets, dumbing them down to be the smallest number of characters, because again, as we mentioned, tweets that are smaller in size using fewer than 120 characters are going to get more engagement. And also not just that, but adding visual content to your tweets. So I create a lot of graphics for my tweets. Some of my most popular tweets, for example, say, retweet if God has blessed you today. And I create all of these graphics, and some of them, or most of them, I should say, take really less than 5 minutes to create. But social media is a very visual platform. And when you send a tweet out with pictures and it has the key words in it or a hashtag, not only will it show up in the area on Twitter where the hashtags are, it will also show up in your photo stream as well. So it's just another way that you can increase your visibility on Twitter with a whole bunch of more users and get them to engage with you.
Okay, so you just mentioned another source of information, a photo stream. So there's a photo stream, there is a Twitter feed, there's your homepage. What are all of the different ways that you can search through Twitter?
Well, you can search through Twitter using the search Twitter bar.
Right.
Upper right-hand corner. You can search through Twitter doing an advanced search through Twitter, which is kind of like a Boolean search. You can search through Twitter using what's trending on Twitter in either the United States or what area of the country you happen to be in. You can search for what's trending in Seattle or Dallas or wherever you happen to be in the world, what people are talking about. So you can look for those things as well. There are a lot of ways that you can search through Twitter, through the Discover tab at the very top of your Twitter page. And you can see from there, who to follow and find friends and popular accounts. And you can also see what's happening now tailored for you. So there's a lot of different ways you can search through Twitter.
And so, though, with your Twitter feed, you can just scroll through as well, correct?
Right. Well, you can scroll through someone else's Twitter feed.
Okay.
And you can see what they happen to be tweeting out. And so
but you can scroll through your notifications, and then you said there's a photo stream that you can scroll through as well. Is that correct?
Yes. So everybody has a photo stream on their page, and so you can go into the person's profile, which we're calling the Twitter feed, their Twitter profile. And on the left-hand side, you'll see a little camera icon that says photos and videos. And you can click on that and you can look at a stream of all the photos and videos that they have posted.
Okay, gotcha. I just wanted to clarify that for everyone where that photo stream could be found on when they're looking. So it's actually looking through someone else's photo stream.
It's either looking through someone else's. You can also see your own photos as well by clicking on your photo up in the upper right-hand corner and then view profile, and then scrolling down on your personal Twitter feed, and then on the left-hand side, clicking on photos and videos, and it will show you all the photos and videos that you have tweeted out.
Gotcha. So with Twitter, as we have already discussed, using less characters is better. As I hear the music rolling, we're about to go into another break, everyone. And so, John, we'll finish this conversation when we get back. Everyone, please stay tuned. We will be right back. I'm here with John Sparks. We're talking about just about everything you can think about with Twitter, and we'll return in a moment. Thank you.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Join Elliot Jolish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jolish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jolish Hour.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business. Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back. This is Sylvia, and I'm here with John Sparks, and we are talking about Twitter. And before I continue, John, can you let the listeners know, first of all, how they can get your book? And secondly, how can they get in touch with you if they want more information?
Sure. Well, you can get my book, Sylvia, on Amazon.com by typing in 365 ideas in the search, or my name, John Sparks. Or if you want a personalized, signed, autographed copy, you can email me directly at john@onlineimageworks.com. That's john@onlineimageworks.com.
And so also you are still on this book tour, correct? And you've got some events that are coming up, a really big one I know that you and I mentioned, you shared with me before the show started. How can people keep in touch and kind of follow where you're going to be?
You can find out all the places I'll be by signing up for my email list or signing up on my email list at iamjohnsparks.com. And as I mentioned to you earlier, I am the special guest in MC at one of the largest digital marketing conferences in the U.S. to celebrate Social Media Day next month. And it's called Rocks Digital. And the website for Rocks Digital is rocksdigital.com. Rocksdigital.com.
And is that ROCKS digital?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Great. Oh, I know you're from the South. You called me ma'am.
That is correct.
I love the Southern gentlemen.
Make you smile.
Exactly. And they pull out your chairs, too, for you to sit down.
Amen.
It's so sweet.
Amen.
So what I was going to ask you, John, before we went into the break was, because you were talking about crafting your tweet and you were talking about how the least number of characters you use, the more activity or the more engagement you receive. So there's a lot of abbreviations that are used in a tweet, right?
Absolutely.
Is there a resource that people can go to that has a dictionary of tweets, or is that something you talk about in your book as well?
It is. Thank you for asking. So I do mention some of those initials and short little abbreviations in my book. People can use that definitely as a resource.
Great. And so being able to grow your followers from 800 to 200,000, I think you're over 200,000 now. Is that correct?
Correct.
I mean, really, how hard was that?
It was an art and a science, Sylvia. It was, I don't think it was that difficult. It was going out and following other people and, again, making them feel welcome, special, and appreciated, and talking to them and getting to know them and what makes them feel good inside and continuing conversations with them. So
really, this was your way it was fun for you. It sounds like you really enjoyed it. It wasn't a laborious thing. You really were enjoying yourself doing that.
And continues to be.
That's wonderful. So it's really quite a passion of yours, it sounds like.
It is.
Great. So some of the things you do talk about in your book do seem a little bit more like running your Twitter business is a business. Actually, running your Twitter page is kind of a business because you talk about things like applying analytics, scheduling tweets. Is that something that's automated, or you just kind of set a timer for yourself of when you're going to send something, or is that a third-party software, or why is that something that you had to do in order to keep the ball rolling and growing?
Well, sure, because as we mentioned or talked about earlier in our conversation, the amount of time that you spend on Twitter, you don't want to spend a large amount of your days just strapped to your phone. You want to spend time growing your offline relationships because those are important, if not more important, than your online relationships. So your scheduling tools allow you to send out tweets while you're doing other things and building your offline relationships. And so there's a number of third-party tools like Hootsuite and Buffer, and one that is my favorite, which is Clout.com, which allow you to apply tweets to go out at certain times of the day, depending on when the bulk of your audience happens to be on Twitter. So it's kind of an analytic tool as well. It goes into your stream and figures out when the bulk of your followers are going to be on the platform, and it tells you what those times are so that you can schedule your tweets accordingly. And then Cloud is wonderful because it allows you to put in areas that you're an influencer in, or areas that are important to you, like we talked about the branding earlier. So what you consider yourself to be an influencer in, what areas are your specific industries, you can identify those, and it will give you some content ideas to send out in your tweets based on the areas that you tell it are your interest or your industry.
Wow, that's fantastic. That sure makes that a lot easier, especially if you're more leaning toward building your business and your brand in that direction. It's always nice to get some insightful ideas and suggestions. So, one of the things you talk about is making money on Twitter. Do people make money? I mean, your business is this. I mean, you are a social media coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, logically, yeah, you would make money using Twitter. But what about other people?
Absolutely. There are a lot of opportunities to make money on the platform by building relationships. Again, giving you the opportunity to carry conversations on with individuals that you're not able to connect with on the other platforms. I will say, though, that again, because it's like a cocktail party and it is the stepping stones to your offline relationships, the conversion rates on Twitter, converting individuals into sales, are not as high as they are on some of the other platforms. For example, Facebook has a much higher conversion rate than Twitter. So a strategy that businesses might want to use is getting to know the individuals on Twitter, because that's where they can actually talk real time to the individuals, and then getting that person to either friend them on Facebook or like their business on Facebook, and then carry the conversation on there. Facebook has done an excellent job of branding themselves as the Friends Network. I tell people to kind of think of Facebook as, remember, I don't know if they had these commercials or this in Seattle or not, the MCI commercials, the old Friends and Family commercials, where you added people to your friends and family on MCI, and you got it.
We had something similar with a different phone line, yeah.
So it's like the Friends and Family of the old telephone days, but it's online instead. And so Facebook has done a great job of branding themselves as the Friends Network. And again, going back to what we said earlier, people like to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And so you're going to want to do business with your friends, right? Because you like them naturally. And so getting to know them on Twitter and then converting them to some of the other platforms, or taking it from online to offline.
That is so helpful, John. I loved how you used the analogy of the cocktail party. I think that for me, because I'm a very visual person, that helped me put all of this into perspective. And I hope it's helped all the listeners who have been listening in get a really good idea of the concept behind Twitter. Because I have to say, I'm here in Microsoft land, and I've talked to people. I have a friend who's markets for Microsoft. Of course, it's a different environment, but when I talk about Twitter, people kind of go, huh? So this has been, for me, incredibly beneficial. And I do believe it's been beneficial for everyone listening. You are just a fantastic wealth of information. Congratulations on your book and on your book tour and your upcoming events. I think you're just fantastic. And just so everybody knows, I met John on Twitter, by the way. That's how we connected. So Twitter is a great arena to make connections and to make things happen, which is why I thought this show would be so important to share with you all today. So John, thank you so much for being such a remarkable guest. We're coming up on the end of the show. I just want to let all of my listeners know that I will be here again next week, Sunday, May 24th. I'm going to be talking about the art of receiving. And this is going to be the perfect show if you've had a hard time receiving from others. If you're more of a no thank you or I'll do it myself sort of person, I want you to know you're blocking yourself from receiving abundant goodness into your life, because every time you say no thank you, when someone offers to do something for you or to give you something special, you're not just saying no to that person. You're actually saying no to God, the universe, the source of all that is. You're saying no also to yourself, and you're limiting the amount of good that is waiting to come into your life. So make sure that you tune in again next week on Sunday, May 24th. to listen in to the art of receiving. I want you also to know that this show will be up on the OMTimes archives. By tomorrow evening this time, you'll be able to listen to this show again. You'll be able to download it. You'll be able to share it. You know, please do send it, put it on your Facebook page, tweet about it. Let people know what a great resource this show has been for everyone. So, wishing you all a really fantastic week. Be blessed. Know that life is good. That's why we're here, to enjoy it. Step into your joy, step into your power, and know that you're loved. Take care, and thank you so much for listening in. Bye-bye for now. I'll be back next week.